I've asked you about the zone defense before in games. How much did tonight's zone impact you guys offensively?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that it wasn't anything they hadn't shown. They've been kind of one of the more higher volume zone teams on the season. I didn't really think that we attacked that very well, or even their man-to-man defense. I thought collectively as a whole, we didn't shoot the ball particularly well. And I thought there was some opportunities to drive and kick, and we kind of didn't move in space, well enough. But it wasn't anything that we weren't expecting. I thought with them starting big with Turner and Sabonis, and then in particular with us having Caruso out and starting Kobe, my guess was they really didn't have a matchup and that they'd play a lot of zone. So we felt like that was coming. I don't think that we did a great job handling it. And I think we could have done a better job than we did.
The decision to start Kobe tonight?
Well, I thought with them being big, I thought they would start kind of the way they had been starting. I thought Kobe played well, last game against New York, and I thought it'd be kind of an opportunity to throw him out there and give him more and hopefully build off of what happened the other night. That was really more than anything else. But, we could have, subbed him out a little bit earlier. But I wanted to give him an opportunity coming off what he did against New York with Alex being out.
Besides more shooting, how do you want to see your guys better attack the zone?
Well, I mean, I thought at times, especially in the first quarter, I thought we did a really good job. We just didn't make shots. I thought we generated some really, really good looks. And then as they kind of jumped on us and we got down by 10, I thought we got a little bit too heavy where the ball didn't move enough. And then we kind of like in the middle of that second quarter, we kind of regained our footing. We got it back down to 9-11. We were right there again. And then we kind of reverted back and it got back up to 15 and then to 20 at the half. We had moments we did a really good job, and then moments that we didn't do a good job. And I think the other thing too is when we did get downhill, I thought Turner did a good job at times to basket, at least not only blocking shots, but altering some shots.
Ned, you referenced lack of ball movement. Do you think that was a function of once guys were missing shots, the guys who scored?
That's exactly
took it on? Hey, I got it.
I think that's what happened. We got off and we didn't. I mean, Lonzo had a couple pretty good looks, and he didn't make very many. I think Zach made his first one, but we missed some good looks, and then I think as they were scoring, like the first shot, Holiday made that first shot to start the game from 3. They actually, I thought, made some tougher shots than we had an opportunity, comparing shot quality to start the game. But to your point, exactly what happened. I think as the game started to kind of get into double figures, we then started to get it. We got to get it back. We got to get it back. And then I thought that we got, very, very stagnant. The ball didn't move well enough, and we didn't generate enough for each other over a longer period enough time. I thought at times we did it, but we didn't do it long enough.
Is this the kind of game where you've been playing well and things have been going well that you just sort of go in and say, well, I just flush this and move on? You don't sort of analyze this game that much.
Well, I think the first thing is saying, no. I mean, we can't get it back, right? Like we're not getting the game back, but there is a standard and an expectation we expect to play to, and certainly tonight was not that. And I'm not taking anything away, from Indiana. I mean, they played very, very well. They had an interesting game against Charlotte and came back and played really well against New Orleans, and then played very well tonight. So they played well. I don't want to make it seem like, we just didn't do anything and it was all us. They played well on both ends of the floor. But I do think that what we learn from this and how we respond to this is really important, because like we can talk about all the things that happened tonight, but the reality is we're jumping on a plane tomorrow and going to Houston. So like, how do we get from here to there in terms of becoming a better team? That's the way I would look at it. I've never been a big believer of, just flush the game. It didn't happen. No, it did happen. That's exactly what happened. And we've got to own it, coaches, players, everybody. And I don't think that's who our team has been. over this early part of the stretch. These guys have been really resilient and they worked. It was a game, we didn't play great, and maybe we didn't play great because Indiana played well and Indiana maybe forced us into not playing great. But how do we, make that next step to get better from this? And, over an 82 game schedule, nights like this happen. It does happen. But if it catapults us going forward to make us better, then, okay, great. But if it's not something that helps us, then I think it's a missed opportunity.
Bill, you just mentioned this. I mean, obviously flat nights do happen in the NBA. How much do you think the loss of Caruso affected that?
Yeah, it's just me, Casey. I just don't, you play with the hand you're dealt. I've tried to always tell you guys, the Troy's, Troy Brown and Alizé and all these guys, you try to keep them ready. Matt, you try to keep everybody ready. And, guys go down, it's just kind of a part of it. Everybody's dealt with it. And you want other guys to kind of step up and, be able to, fill in the roles and the gap. I think anytime you have a guy like Vooch or Alex out, it hurts your team. Just as I'm sure, when we ended up playing Denver, having Jokic out, that hurt them. It's just part of it. But you still have a standard and expectation you want to play to. And I just didn't think we did that tonight on a consistent enough basis, obviously.
You said, I think prior to the game about you might have an update on Vucevic travel and those things.
He's going to travel. I checked on that. He's traveling. He's working out again tomorrow before we leave. I don't have any update in terms of his availability or would he, or if he could be available. I think because he's able to kind of rejoin the team and he's out of, the COVID protocols in terms of socially distancing and quarantining. He can be with our team now. Whether or not he's able to play on this trip, I'm not really sure. That's all going to depend up to the doctors.
One of the narratives about this team, it hasn't come up that much because you've been successful so far as lack of size. And one of the things you've done well is you've been on the offensive boards. And tonight, they seem to really control the defensive boards, made a difference where you're usually active there and can make things happen. But what did you see there?
I mean, I didn't think that Derek and Javante last night against New York were as active as I would have liked them to be. And tonight, I thought both those guys did a really good job on a night where we particularly didn't play well. I thought those two guys, when they got in there, when we got down by 15 or whatever it was, we got it back down to 9. I think those guys had a lot. They were very, very disruptive. They were active. But we're going to end up being, Sam, a pretty opportunistic offensive rebounding team. A lot of it's going to be long rebounds. We use our speed and quickness to kind of get to it. We're probably not going to go offensive rebound on missed shots that are close to the rim by physically moving people out of the way. We've kind of shots go up and we run in there and punch a ball out, or we come up with a loose ball. That's kind of how we've offensive rebound. That's what ended up happening, against Denver when they played a zone. We missed some shots and we ended up generating a lot of second shots by hustle plays. But that's kind of how we have offensive rebound, more so than just kind of getting in there and physically moving people out of the way.
Your impressions of Marco's first NBA stat?
You know what? I was happy for him to be able to get out there and play. I mean, it would be hard for me to evaluate him on whatever it was, 6 or 7 minutes that he played. It was good to get him out there. I think there's some things he can learn, from the game. I thought he was fine. I mentioned to you, I trust him as a player in terms of his work ethic and those things. He doesn't really have a lot of experience. I think you could see physically there were things in around the basket that he's going to have to get stronger and learn, how to use his size and maybe get leverage in certain situations. But I do think in time he can be a stretch big that can shoot the three. He's maybe not all the way there yet. He does have a high basketball IQ. He's got a good feel how to play. He's an unselfish player. He's got to physically get stronger. But I think a night like tonight was a good experience for him.
One thing that jumped out was how he kept calling out plays on the pick and roll. I mean, he seemed pretty vocal. You always hear about big man rookies who aren't.
Yeah, no, he was good with that. I mean, he's calling it out there. He did a good job, I think, at least trying to communicate. And that's the bad, because you know what, a lot of time, to be honest with you, a lot of the calls he made tonight, in certain situations, maybe weren't necessarily the right pick and roll call, but he made the call to get everybody organized. And that's the most important thing. And to your point, I think when you have a big man that's willing to communicate back there like that, it really, really helps your guards.
Yesterday how important Caruso is on those double teams, especially when you're outsized. Without him today, kind of how did you want to approach that? How did you feel that the team did in some of those double team and trap situations?
We had some opportunities there. I think in the third quarter, we caused a couple turnovers. Listen, I thought we were clearly outplayed by Indiana on both ends of the floor. They without question tonight were the better team from start to finish. I thought we did try to trap and tried to, create some turnovers to kind of generate some momentum. There was some times we turned them over a couple of times, and there was some times they did a really good job and took advantage of it. So I don't necessarily, I don't know how much Alex would have made a difference tonight, to be quite honest with you. We didn't shoot the ball well. We didn't defend well enough. I don't know if one person could have made up all that.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay. Thank you, guys.